Good morning, good morning. Peace to you. Make sure I got my audio right real quick. All right, so what we're going to be talking about today is the Abomination, Desolation. It's somewhat of a follow-up to the other video I did, but found a few more scripts. So that's what we're going to look at today. Grab that for now. So, all right, so we're going to start in Matthew 24, I believe. So we'll start verse. We're starting verse 8. All these are the beginning of sorrows. Then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted, and shall kill you, and ye shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake. It's going to be just like the Inquisition. And then shall many be offended, but worse than the Inquisition, worst time ever. And shall betray one another, and shall hate one another, and many false prophets shall arise, and shall deceive many. And because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. And so, before we get to the verse that we want to look at, this verse here, when I look out in the world and I go to work and I interact with these kids, I interact with adults, like we're being set up for verse 12 right now. Everybody being focused on their devices, kids staying in the house, people isolating themselves, these robots things, people becoming less personable, less sociable. Kids are being diagnosed with things because they don't have social skills. Is it a natural thing, or is it because they're not being socialized? But what we're seeing now is setting us up for this. The love of many shall wax cold, but he that shall endure unto the end, the same shall be saved. And this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world for a witness unto all nations, and then shall the end come. So, when ye therefore shall see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet stand in the holy place, whoso readeth, let him understand. Then let them which be in Judea flee into the mountains. So that abomination of desolation is the ready, set, go for people to flee into the wilderness. Let him which is on the housetop not come down to take anything out of his house. Neither let him which is in the field return back to take his clothes. That's because you have a short amount of time. So he's expressing to you how quickly you need to move here. Once you see this abomination of desolation, you need to get out of Dodge as quickly as you can, because it's going to be the worst time ever. And woe unto them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days. But pray ye that your flight be not in winter, neither on the Sabbath day. For then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, no, nor ever shall be. And except those days should be shortened, there should no flesh be saved, but for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened. So that's how bad it's going to be. Right? But we need to know what the go sign is. Some people say it's a man going to Jerusalem. Some say it's a man going to the temple. But I haven't really seen any verses that say the abomination, desolation is a man. What I've heard people point to is the son of perdition verse, and we're going to get to that. But what we're going to do is we're going to start with Daniel 11:31. Daniel 31. And arms shall stand on his part, and they shall pollute the sanctuary of strength, and shall take away the daily sacrifice, and shall place the abomination that maketh desolate. So what we want to pay attention here to is the abomination that maketh desolate will be placed. So yes, a man can be placed. But we're going to look at all the scripts and see which one makes the most sense. Not makes the most sense, but which one is it really referring to? The abomination that maketh desolate will be placed. The daily sacrifice taken away. The abomination that maketh desolate placed. Alright, so real quick, I'm going to switch over this little timeline we've been working on here. So when we're looking at the abomination of desolation, like after the daily sacrifice begins, so the altar or the third temple everybody's been waiting on is set up. They're doing daily sacrifices. The daily sacrifice was in the morning and the evening, so they're doing that. Let's see if we can blow this up a little bit more. So you've got 2.77 years of animal sacrifice going on, and then you have the abomination of desolation here, where the sacrifices are replaced by that abomination. And then you have 30 days to flee to the wilderness, at which time the Great Tribulation begins. All right. Set up for about 5 more seconds. So what we're going to do now is go to 2 Chronicles 33, 1 through 7, and look at an example of this. 2 Chronicles 33. Chronicles 33, and we are looking at 1 through 7. Manasseh was 12 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 55 years in Jerusalem, but did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord, like unto the abominations of the heathen, whom the Lord had cast out before the children of Israel. For he built again the high places which Hezekiah his father had broken down. And he reared up altars for Baalim, and made groves and worshipped all the hosts of heaven and served them. Also he built altars in the house of the Lord, whereof the Lord had said, in Jerusalem shall my name be forever. And he built altars for all the hosts of heaven in the 2 courts of the house of the Lord. So we see all this idolatry going on. In the house of the Lord, that's the key thing, where this is going on. It says, in the house of the Lord. In the house of the Lord. Or in the 2 courts of the house of the Lord. And he caused his children to pass through the fire in the valley of the son of Hinnom. Also he observed times and used enchantments and used witchcraft and dealt with a familiar spirit and with wizards. He wrought much evil in the sight of the Lord to provoke him to anger. So Manasseh was facilitating all of this idolatry. And what I'm reading in the scripture, we're talking about the abomination, desolation, that false prophet is doing the same thing. He's engaged in witchcraft, he's understanding dark parables, he's doing sorcery, we call it signs in the heavens. He's facilitating, like Manasseh was, he's facilitating all of this. verse 7. To provoke the Lord to anger, right? And he set a carved image. So it's placed in Daniel, but now we're reading set. And he set a carved image, the idol which he had made in the house of God, of which God. So again, in the house of God. That's a key thing here. Because remember, we read the abomination, desolation is going to be in the holy place. And he set a carved image, the idol which he had made in the house of God, of which God had said to David and to Solomon his son, in this house and in Jerusalem, which I have chosen before all the tribes of Israel, will I put my name forever. Well, so let's go back to Daniel, but we're going to go to chapter 12. Verse 11. And from the time that the daily sacrifice shall be taken away, and the abomination that maketh desolate set up, there shall be 1,290 days. Okay. Daily sacrifice taken away, and the abomination that maketh desolate set up. So that's that replacement. Okay. The key word here I wanted to pay attention to was set up. The other thing I want us to pay attention to is how the daily sacrifice is replaced by something. Meaning they are not the things doing the changing. So the daily sacrifice is taken away. The abomination that maketh desolate is set up. The abomination that maketh desolate isn't setting up, it is set up. So go to Judges 18. 30 or 31. No words not followed. Judges 18, 30 to 31. And the children of Dan set up a graven image. Setting up a graven image, just like Manasseh did. And Jonathan, the son of Gershom, the son of Manasseh, he and his sons were priests to the tribe of Dan until the day of the captivity of the land. And they set them up Micah's graven image, which he made all the time that the house of God was in Shiloh. So this image in this house of God, we keep seeing. And we keep seeing the word set up or placed. Let's keep going. Let's go to Revelation 13. And look at the image of the end time. What's going to be going on with this image? Start in 11 and go through 18. And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had two horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon, and he exerciseth all the power of the first beast before him, and causeth the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose daily wound is healed. And he doeth great wonders, and there we go, there's the wonders again, just like with Manasseh, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men, false prophet. And deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he hath power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image to the beast, just like Manasseh, make an image to the beast, which had the wound by a sword and did live. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. So if you go back and look at Genesis and all the talk the prophets did about those idols that were set up, how God was always saying, hey, these people can't speak, these idols can't eat, these idols can't do anything for you, right? Which is vain pieces of, which is vain objects. In the end time, as we see with Elon Musk, all these robots and all these holograms that we're seeing in Las Vegas, and we got Project Bluebeam and all this kind of stuff, the image at the end time, they're actually gonna try to compensate for all those previous weaknesses. They're gonna have it speak, they're gonna have it walk, all that kind of stuff. So it's really gonna be convincing. And if you hadn't heard about that AI Jesus, they have, I think it's in Europe somewhere, that AI Jesus, where people go in and confess to Jesus. I'm getting there. We're getting to this. And cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. So if you don't worship this image that's set up, you'll be killed. And what did we read in Matthew 24? When the abomination, desolation is set up, get out of Dodge, because they're going to be trying to kill you. If you don't worship the image, then he calls it all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. The Pope, right? Vicarious Eos Filii or something like that. Look it up. Whenever you get the time. So I hope you're seeing the consistency here. So in verse 14, you have an image made to the beast. Verse 15, image of the beast given power to talk. Verse 15, again, everyone knows to worship that image. Okay, let's see that in Daniel 3. Old Testament is there for our example. Everything is there to prepare us for the final exam. Daniel 3, 1-6, Nebuchadnezzar the king made an image of gold, whose height was 3 cubits, 3 cubits, and the breadth thereof 6 cubits. He set it up in the plain of Dura, in the province of Babylon. Then Nebuchadnezzar the king sent to gather together the princes, the governors and the captains, the judges and the treasurers, the counselors, the sheriffs, and all the rulers of the provinces to come to the dedication of the image which Nebuchadnezzar the king had set up. So the whole world, that whole kingdom, right? And we know that the false prophet is going to be over the whole world. So this is just a micro thing. And the one verse I forgot to read at the beginning that kind of ties everything up, how we see how God dealt with Israel is the same way he's going to deal with the whole world, is that that verse in the New Testament that talks about how it's first to the Jews, but then to the Gentiles. God is God. He's the same yesterday, today, and tomorrow, right? And Israel was always just the example. What happens to Israel happens with the rest of the world. So to come to the dedication of the image which Nebuchadnezzar the king had set up. So everybody is expected to participate in this. And if they don't, let's see, what does it say? Then the princes, the governors and captains, the judges, the treasurers, the counselors, the sheriffs, and all the rulers of the provinces were gathered together unto the dedication of the image that Nebuchadnezzar the king had set up. Set up. The king sets up. That little horn sets up the abomination of desolation. And they stood before the image that Nebuchadnezzar had set up. Then an herald cried aloud, to you it is commanded, O people, nations, and languages, that at what time ye hear the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, psaltery, duckler, and all kinds of music, ye fall down and worship the image that Nebuchadnezzar the king hath set up. And whoso falleth not down and worship, shall the same hour be cast into the midst of the burning fiery furnace. Isn't that the same thing we read in Revelation 13? If you don't worship this image of the beast, you're going to be killed. If you don't take on the number and the mark, you're going to be killed. No eating, no drinking, no buying, no selling. Therefore, at that time, that was it. Okay. So, We're going to Daniel 8. So that example of Nebuchadnezzar we see is worship the golden image, worship the image, worship the idol, worship the abomination, or die. Daniel 8, 13 through 14. Then I heard one saint speaking, and another saint said unto the certain saint, to that certain saint which spake, how long shall be the vision concerning the daily sacrifice and the transgression of desolation, to give both the sanctuary and the host to be trodden underfoot? The transgression with the violation of the second commandment: don't make any idols of anything, don't make any image of anything in heaven, on earth, or in the sea. Bow down and worship it. That's everything we're reading. Everything, all of Manasseh, Nebuchadnezzar, the false prophet at the end, all of them are asking, commanding the same thing: worship this image, which angers God. To the point where he wants to clear the field. All right, so verse 13. So from the transgression of desolation, aka the abomination of desolation, replacing this daily sacrifice, to the cleansing of the temple is 2,300 days, or 6 point something years. Right? We'll go back to that just so you can see it. So we'll see here. It says 2,300 days, right? So that's what we're looking at down here. From the time in which the daily sacrifice is set up to when Jesus comes back and cleans the earth. It's 2,300 days. See, between the daily sacrifice and the abomination of desolation is about 2.77 years. So that means you got about another 4-something years to go. Right? A little under 4 years. So that 2,300 days is about 6.5. Okay. Now we're going to Ezekiel 8, and we're going to look at something that reminded me of Revelation, like straight up. The 144,000 is what we're thinking about, right? When they get sealed. So let's go to Ezekiel 8. Ezekiel 8, 3-6. And he put forth the form of an hand and took me by a lock of my head. So we're talking about an angel here. That's dealing with Ezekiel. And the Spirit lifted me up between the earth and the heaven and brought me in the visions of God to Jerusalem, to the door of the inner gate that looketh toward the north, where was the seat of the image of jealousy, which provoketh to jealousy. So the seat of the image of jealousy, some kind of image, graven image, something made, placed towards the north, and God doesn't like it. It makes him jealous. Why? Because it's adultery. They pay idolatry as far as their spiritual adultery. If you look up the north side of the gate. So I guess there were like 3 or 4 gates on that side. Uh, I'm not an expert at this, but when I was looking it up, there are 3 or 4 gates on that side, right? And one of those is the gate through which the animal sacrifices came in for the burnt offering, right? And as we're going to read, the burnt offering was done in the holy place. Inner gate that looketh toward the north, where was the seat of the image of jealousy, which provoketh to jealousy. Okay, so when God gets jealous, what does he do? Let's keep reading. And behold, the glory of the God of Israel was there, according to the vision that I saw in the plain. Then said he unto me, Son of man, lift up thine eyes now the way toward the north. So I lifted up my eyes the way toward the north, and behold, northward at the gates of the altar is this image of jealousy in the entry. So at the gates of the altar, so where the offering comes in, this image of jealousy in the entry. So where the offering typically comes through, instead there is this image of jealousy. We know that those offerings represented the atoning sacrifice of Jesus. But instead here they have the image of jealousy. Verse 6. He said furthermore unto me, Son of man, seest thou what they do? Even the great abominations that the house of Israel committeth here, that I should go far off from my sanctuary? So first off, he wants to leave because he doesn't like defilement. He's not going to be disrespectful. But turn thee yet again, and thou shalt see greater abominations. So then he goes on to explain the women weeping for Tammuz and the zodiac signs, or what I call zodiac signs, the animals of all the creeping things and the abominable animals in their walls, in their chambers. So he's going through this. The first being the image of jealousy, then the weeping of Tammuz, which is directly related to Lent and Easter, and then you have the what did we just say? Oh, the zodiac signs up on the walls, right? All right. So he doesn't like that. So let's see what he said to do about that. Go to the next chapter, 4 through 11. And the Lord said unto him, this is the angel, with the inkhorn. So we're starting verse 3. And the glory of the God of Israel was gone up from the cherub whereupon he was to the threshold of the house. And he called to the man clothed with linen, which had the writer's inkhorn by his side. So a cloud of witnesses, right? Writing everything down. And the Lord said unto him, Go through the midst of the city, through the midst of Jerusalem, and set a mark upon the foreheads of the men that sigh and that cry for all abominations that be done in the midst of Israel. So God has told this Holy Spirit to let these other spirits know, hey, go through and mark the men who are blameless. Just like we're going to read with the 144,000, hey, before you destroy this earth, seal up these men, mark these men so they don't get hurt. Same thing we're reading here. And set a mark upon the foreheads of the men that sigh and that cry for all the abominations that be done in the midst thereof. So the people that don't like the sin and not participating in the abominations are sealed. They're protected from what's about to happen. And to the others he said in mine hearing, Go ye after him through the city and smite. Let not your eyes spare, neither have ye pity. So if you weren't marked, you finna get smited. Slay utterly old and young, both maids and little children and women, but come not near any man upon whom is the mark. And begin at my sanctuary. Again, begin at those who know. We're supposed to know better. The Israelites, those who call themselves believers, the saints, those who supposedly keep the commandments and the faith. You have a little bit of understanding. Start with them. If they're marked, that means they're being obedient. Leave them alone. If they're not marked, that means they're being disobedient and have participated in these abominations, and I want them killed. Whether or not they're old, whether or not they're young, whether or not they're a servant, whether or not they're a child, whether or not it's a woman or not. Kill them. There is no mercy. There is no pity. Because they should have known better. And he said unto them, defile the house, and fill the courts with the slain. Go ye forth. And they went forth and slew in the city. So, defile the house. Like the earth is defiled from all the sin. It's like God has to come back. We read at the end of the 2300 days, he's going to come back and clean everything. There's been so much death going on. And sin, when he gets back, he's cleaning up with fire. He's kicking people out. Oh, we're not done yet. Keep going. And it came to pass while they were slaying them, and I was left, and I fell upon my face and cried and said, Ah, Lord God, wilt thou destroy all the residue of Israel in thy pouring out of thy fury upon Jerusalem? Then said he unto me, the iniquity of the house of Israel and Judah is exceeding great, and the land is full of blood, and the city full of perverseness. For they say, the Lord hath forsaken the earth, and the Lord seeth it not. So just like it is now today, people think God has just given us a pass to be down here creating chaos in this world by allowing people to do stuff that was not okay in the past. There's a spirit of pride in this world now. People are doing what it is they want to do, and it's all sinful for the most part. And like we said, Israel and Judah are just examples for how he's going to treat the whole world. He said, start at his sanctuary. And we already read that except the times be shortened, his elect won't be saved. His elect wouldn't be saved. That's referring to everybody. That's just not talking about Judah and Israel. And as for me also, mine eyes shall not spare, neither will I have pity, but I will recompense their way upon their head. And the mercy's over with. And remember, he says he has mercy for those who keep his commandments. He loves those that keep his commandments. If you love him, keep his commandments. These people were not keeping the commandments, so they got no pity. And behold, the man clothed with linen, which had the inkhorn by his side, reported the matter, saying, I have done as thou hast commanded me. All right, let's go look at this in Revelation 7. And before and after these things, I saw 4 angels standing on the 4 corners of the earth. These are just like the men Ezekiel saw in the vision. Those are angels or priests. These are angels. It's all the same thing. Holding the 4 winds of the earth, that the wind should not blow on the earth, nor on the sea, nor on any tree. So before I let these angels loose to destroy this earth, and I saw another angel ascending from the east. This is like kind of like the angel with the inkhorn, having the seal of the living God, and he cried with a loud voice unto the 4 angels to whom it was given to hurt the earth and the sea, saying, hurt not the earth, neither the sea, nor the trees, but we have sealed the servants of our God in their foreheads. So until they're marked, don't do anything. And I heard the number of them which were sealed, and there were sealed 144,000 of all the tribes of the children of Israel. 12,000 from each tribe. So there's 144,000 sealed and protected from the plagues of the trumpets that are about to begin. So those angels, those spirits that are going to make those plagues of the trumpets happen, they don't do that until after the sealing, like we read in Ezekiel. There wasn't any smiting until after there was a marking. It's the same thing. And what started that Ezekiel 9 marking and smiting? That image of jealousy. That's what we want to hold on to, is the image of jealousy that prompted the marking, prompted the killing. Just like in Revelation, it's that image of the beast results in the sealing, so you don't get killed. All right, let's go to 2 Thessalonians. And let's look at this son of perdition. 3-4. Let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come, except there come a falling away first, and that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition, who opposeth and exalteth himself above all that is called God, or that is worshipped, so that he as God sitteth in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God. Okay, so let's think about this. This is a man that is telling us exactly what he's doing. At no point in time do we see any reference to the abomination of desolation. We just don't see it. There's no reference to the abomination of desolation. It just says he opposeth and exalteth himself above all that is called God, or that is worshipped, so that he as God sitteth in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God. Okay? So he's acting like God. He thinks he's God. He's talking like God. He's in the house of God. Temple of God. Okay? Man of sin. But let's go read this exact same thing in Daniel. Daniel 8:25. 8:25, and then we're going to jump to verse 11. 8:25 is the angel explaining what's in verse 11, but we're going to read this first and then go to 11. And through his policy also he shall cause craft, that witchcraft that Manasseh did, to prosper in his hand. He shall magnify himself in his heart, and by peace shall destroy many. So here we go. He's acting like God. He's magnifying himself. He shall also stand up against the princes of princes, but he shall be broken without hand. And how is it described up here in the vision? Yea, he magnified himself even to the prince of the host, and by him the daily sacrifice was taken away. Okay, so earlier we read that the daily sacrifice was taken away and the abomination set up. Here it's clarifying that the abomination is taken, the daily sacrifice was taken away by this person. In the place of his sanctuary cast down. And then host was given him against the daily sacrifice. So he has an army. He has some kind of power or might to make this happen, and it cast down the troops to the ground, and it practiced and prospered. So there is a man making these things happen. There's a man behind this. Just like Manasseh and Nebuchadnezzar. There's a man saying, hey, stop the daily sacrifice, go over there, stop it. I'm going to move over there, and I'm going to have the abomination, desolation. I'm going to have this image set up. So by him, the daily sacrifice was taken away, and the place of the sanctuary was cast down. And before we read, the daily sacrifice was taken away, and the abomination of desolation set up. It's all by the same person. Exodus 29. So where is this holy place? Now this is that which thou shalt offer upon the altar, 2 lambs of the first year, day by day, continually. So this is the daily sacrifice we're talking about being taken away. This is what he's going to have taken away. The one lamb thou shalt offer in the morning, and the other lamb thou shalt offer at evening. And with one lamb, a tenth deal of flour mingled with the fourth part of an hin of beaten oil, and the fourth part of a hin of wine for a drink offering. And the other lamb thou shalt offer at even, and shalt do thereto according to the meat offering of the morning, and according to the drink offering thereof, for a sweet savor, an offering made by fire unto the Lord. So this is the daily burnt offering done by fire. Every day a burnt offering, one lamb in the morning and one lamb in the evening. Bread made with oil and wine with both. Right? Go ahead and just read it again. In Numbers 28, verse 3. And thou shalt say unto them, This is the offering made by fire, which ye shall offer unto the Lord, 2 lambs of the first year, without spot, day by day, for a continual burnt offering. The one lamb thou shalt offer in the morning, and the other lamb shalt thou offer at evening. And the 10th part of an ephah of flour for a meat offering, mingled with the 4th part of an hin of beaten oil. It is a continual burnt offering, which was ordained in Mount Sinai for a sweet savor and sacrifice made by fire unto the Lord. All right, so same thing. Right? This is the daily sacrifice. Let's go back to Daniel 11:31. An arm shall stand on his part. This is the host given to him. And they shall pollute the sanctuary of strength, and shall take away the daily sacrifice, and they shall place the abomination that maketh desolate. So this morning and evening sacrifice with the bread and the wine, he is saying he is going to take that away through the arms, through his army. And then they're going to put this abomination that maketh desolate. Just like we read in Nebuchadnezzar, where it was the governors and the princes and the captains, and all the officials, all those parts of the government that enforced this thing. Arms shall stand on his part. They, the army, shall pollute the sanctuary of strength. They, the army, under his control, shall take away the daily sacrifice and place the abomination that maketh desolate. Leviticus, where are they placing this? Leviticus 16. It says the holy place, right? That's why we keep reading the holy place. And yes, Jerusalem is holy, but his house is the temple. And that's why we keep reading. In the house of the Lord, in the temple of God. Thus shall Aaron come into the holy place with a young bullock for a sin offering and a ram for a burnt offering. That's where the offerings were done. That daily sacrifice in the holy place. 2 Chronicles 29, 5 and 7. And he said unto them, Hear me, ye Levites, sanctify now yourselves, and sanctify the house of the Lord God of the fathers, and carry forth the filthiness out of this place. What is that image? It is filth. For our fathers have trespassed and done that which was evil in the eyes of the Lord our God, and have forsaken him, and have turned away their faces from the habitation of the Lord, and turned their backs. That's exactly what they were doing in Ezekiel. And that's exactly what we're going to be doing in the Great Tribulation. If you take that mark, you're turning your back on God. And that's why he said, if you take that mark, take that thing, you worship that image, it's an automatic lake of the fire. You're not going to be forgiven for that. There will be no pity for you. It's the image of jealousy. Verse 7. Also, they have shut up the doors of the porch and put out the lamps, and have not burned incense nor offered burnt offerings in the holy place unto the God of Israel. The house of the Lord and the holy place. Burnt offerings done in the holy place. I hope I didn't talk too much. I hope that was fruitful and edifying to somebody. In Jesus' name, amen. still a work in progress, but just this first thing right here is beneficial to me. So check it out. I didn't read Mark 13:14, but when we shall see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet standing where it ought not. Didn't say him standing where it ought not, but it where it ought not. Let him that readeth understand, then let him that be in Judea speak about. The abomination of desolation is a thing, not a person. Peace.